Welcome back to Talk of the Town on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM, on WHTC.com, and on the WHTC app for your smartphone. Once again, here's your host, Gary Stevens.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Friday, July 31st. It is a fifth Friday of the month, which means that when we do have a fifth Friday of the month, and it happens about 4 times a year, we have at this time on the fifth Friday the Water Resources Commissioner for Ottawa County, Joe Bush, on the other side of our table this morning. Joe, good morning. Welcome back, sir.
Well, thank you for having me, Gary. It's good to see you on this beautiful Friday morning.
And as us more seasoned people would say, it's good to be seen. And if you have a question about your water quality, Commissioner Bush is in the building, 616-395-1450. Let me, first of all, sort of lay a little bit of a groundwork on what your responsibilities are. You are responsible for water, well, the term is Water Resources Commissioner. Would one say that you are responsible for water quality in the county, or is that a little bit of a misperception?
No, I would say that's definitely a part of it, in collaboration with the health department. Depends on what it is and the issues. But yeah, I definitely say that we go look at illicit discharges that are reported to us or concerns. But sometimes the health department gets involved, and they have an environmental health department, so they actually go out and look at some of those hazards or concerns, or they do test beaches for water quality. That's not me. That's the health department, but it is the county. And we excuse me, we try to collaborate with other departments as well. But definitely water quality is in our scope, because water is precious, and we do a lot of the surface water, right? So the underground or the groundwater, that's not really 100% under us, but as an elected official,
all puns intended.
All pun intended,
Yeah.
right? We definitely try to stay involved, and because we do work for the taxpayer and serve the people, if we don't have the answers, we'll get involved and try to find some. So,
do organizations such as the ODC network work with you on some water quality issues? Most notably, it's been about 10, 15 years since the ODC network started the Project Clarity efforts along the Macatawa Basin, and they've been pleased with the work so far. Do they work with your office, or is that maybe somewhat different?
That's a great question. We work hand in hand on a lot of different projects. A lot of the tributaries that come into Lake Mac are county drains. And other parts of the county. ODC is spread it out throughout. They used to be kind of Holland focused, and they're spreading out in other parts of the county. But we always try to partner on grants, opportunities, volunteer opportunities. We're just a big partner, and we also partner with the Conservation District. We can't do it alone, but we partner with people that can help us. So yeah, ODC is. We've been a part of the Project Clarity from day one, and we continue to support that because it is making progress. And then they're also part of the water quality, opportunity that we have together, that 5-year plan, and it's through the ODC and the Conservation District. So the three of us have been motivated to make sure that we protect that water quality in Ottawa. So
now, the reason why I want to start our conversation along the lines of what your office is involved with is that there might be a perception by some people, at least maybe more than just one person, as to, does the Water Resources Commissioner get involved with what we're seeing on Lakewood Boulevard between US 31 and 120th, or along 48th Avenue north of Port Sheldon? In both of those situations, we're talking about water main replacement, water culvert work, and major work that is basically tying up those routes for the entire spring, summer, and early fall. How much of it is really just local work, and how much of it has to deal with your office?
I would say it's not a whole lot with our office, But me being the elected official and the title is Water Resources, I get all the calls. Or a lot
That's
of them.
why I want you to explain, please.
Not all. But, again, one of the biggest things, and I preach it all the time, is partnerships. And the Holland BPW or City of Wyoming, City of Grand Rapids, these are their projects. But the impacts to the local community or local farmers or whatever, it seems to be people call my office and go, hey, we got a problem. I'm always accessible. People know that. I try to be everywhere. If you get a hold of me and there's an issue, I will get a hold of the City of Wyoming or, we've been working on that project, the water main, because they've been dewatering. Well, they're dewatering when there's a time of, I wouldn't say we're in that drought yet, but it's pretty dry. So we're heading down a path that people are concerned. The farmers are worried about, like the blueberries and the irrigation, and they're dewatering at the same time for that water main. That's pretty deep. So we've been working with the farmers, the ag community, City of Wyoming, Brian Newhoff, who is the engineering firm in charge of that. So a lot of that local water lines, when it comes to drinking water or sanitary, that's really not through our department. I don't have a contract, but I'm always making myself available, being the elected official, to make the contacts, put people around the table, have discussions, and come up with solutions that, that could be a problem. So,
all right. 616-395-1450 if you have a question for Ottawa County Water Resources Commissioner Joe Bush. Water and deep well digging has been a concern in the Port Sheldon area around the J.P. Campbell power plant. Consumers Energy wants to do some deep well work in terms of being able to move some of the water in that area that needs to be moved. They feel that it's a way to safely move the wastewater in that particular area. And again, well, you said you maybe not totally into the deep groundwater, but certainly that's a concern.
Oh, yeah. I've been involved in this one they don't need my permission or a permit from me. That's through the EPA and Eagle, but we definitely have concerns. I've listened to the residents. I've even had comments into EPA when they're hearing for their open comments. I did share my concerns. It's a mile underground, and they said there's a void down below that it's not going to impact drinking water. They said that void will take, we'll just throw a number out there that I keep hearing, trillions of gallons of this, I want to say, non-hazardous waste, right? They said it's the best place to go with it, and it doesn't impact groundwater. Well, I kind of have my doubts because what about fracking? Is there enough monitoring? That's been some of my comments. Make sure we got if you're going to do it, then you better monitor it. And I'm not saying I'm for it because I think going down a mile, who else could be impacted? It might not impact us today, but 20, 30, 50 years from now, because they plan on pumping this for quite a few years. What happens if we're wrong? Because we are humans and we make mistakes. And, they say that big void down there can handle a lot of this material. And I'm going, so what happens if another county will just say, there's a deep well somewhere down in Berry County or Allegan County that might tap into this? And they said, there's no way to do that. It's so well protected. But we also know that PFAS wasn't a thing either years ago. And now it is. Now it's everywhere. Now we have concerns, right? And at the cost of taxpayers to fix it a lot of times, or our health. So those are my concerns. What does the future look like? Not just today or tomorrow. We can always say it's great, but that fly ash, I think there's other opportunities to maybe clean it and reuse. I'm big on water reuse, repurpose, recharge, the 3 R's. I think there's opportunities to maybe look at some. They said they looked at that, and it's not cost efficient, but that's just what I hear, right? I don't know if it's cost efficient if you're really going to clean it. But I know there's other parts of the country that do clean pretty nasty water up and reuse it. And I think there might be opportunity for the future for that. And that's been my comments to the EPA. And again, I'm just the water resources of Ottawa County, but, it's higher. It's a paid grade higher than mine at the EPA and Eagle as far as getting that permit. They don't need my permission. So
now the thing, by the way, Joe Bush is not a geologist and doesn't play one on the radio. Neither am I. However, based on maybe some conversations you may have had with those who aren't in the know, one would think, do we have the proper land to be able to do that? Is there, because one would think with all the dunes around here, we got a lot of sandy ground. But do we have maybe bedrock or something solid down there so that if this water gets pumped down, the chances of it coming back up because of maybe softer ground than would be with bedrock or some of the harder stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great question. Being that it's out of my, I'm not a geologist, but I did reach out to people who are. And if I don't have the answer, I usually go to the experts and ask those questions. And not just one, I asked a few. They said that rock down there is so solid and it's not coming up. It's going to stay down there. One of the other issues that I have a concern with that has been brought up is the amount of water. Now, that's not drinking water that they tie into that, but it's water, like stormwater in those ponds, lagoons, the water that could be maybe recycled or cleaned. They're adding that to be able to inject it, right? You just can't inject slurry. You have to add water to make sure it gets pumped down there. So that's a lot of maybe possible water that we'll never be able to get back. And once it's gone and down there, you're not going to retry. You're not going to put a well and try to pump it back, right? So there's amount of water that could be out of the system, I call it, that they don't make more water necessarily. So, and it's not drinking water, I'm told. Like they don't, it's kind of storm water. Maybe some Lake Michigan water. So however how they inject it, I will say there is multiple of these large injection wells throughout Ottawa County. Park Davis just down the road has one. So it's not, and the other one was the Heinz Pickle Factory has an injection well. These aren't new; they're around, but I worry about the long term, not the short term. And I can only do what I can do, but I do want to make sure we protect the groundwater and water, our water resources as far as drinking water for everybody.
And of course, when you mentioned the other two projects being our friends at the pickle plant or over at the site of the former Park Davis facility, people might be concerned right now about the Campbell plant situation. But if we have these other ones already here, nobody. Well, ignorance is maybe not necessarily bliss in that regard.
Right. And, and I've been asking, well, where's the logs? Where's the paperwork? Where's the paper trail that these are being monitored? And do they see changes over time of something that's, reacting or acting? Because we should be monitoring that on a very close basis if we see something that doesn't look right. And again, they have to report these, the EPA and the Eagle, and there's a lot of reporting and monitoring. But do we have enough safeguards in place? Because, again, we're right next to one of the precious Great Lakes. And I'm like, boy, if you would impact that, not today or tomorrow, 30, 40 years from now, I probably won't be around. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at that going, well, all I can say is I did my best, and I made my comments, and I talked to the right people to try to get some answers.
He is Joe Bush, the Water Resources Commissioner from Ottawa County. If you have a question, 616-395-1450. A little bit of discussion I had. I can't recall exactly the circumstances, but I was talking with somebody who had relatives who had moved out of this area, went to the Southwest, and their biggest concern now that they're basically out of the snow belt is, it's nice to be nice and warm and warmer climes, but we're having problems with water. We're having problems, having enough water to drink or to do other things with. And my immediate thought once I heard that is, if they're complaining about that now, they may be looking at areas that have lots of water, i.e. us. Let's see if we can tap into that. Maybe we should share. Obviously, that would be a concern. I don't know if there's anything on the radar of any regions maybe trying to reach out to try to get some of what we got, which is nice, good, clean water. In your position, maybe you got the proverbial ear to the ground on this. Is this something that we should be concerned about, or am I really playing Chicken Little, and instead of the sky is falling, the water is coming out.
Well, I think if you look out west, especially Arizona, which I visited, a few months back, and went out there and looked at their recharge facility. Phil Kyers, Commissioner Kyers, went out with me, and a couple well drillers and a staffer from DSI, Department of Strategic Impact. We went out and looked at their water situation, and they are correct. They're in dire needs of water. There's been articles I've been reading that out west, even like some, I want to say some parts of Illinois would love to tie into Lake Michigan and pipe it, right? Just go and get some sort of a water treatment plant, suck it out of the lake and pump it to another city that needs water, a good clean water. Excuse me. We're not the only, with this aquifer issue, we're not the only county. There were 16 counties recently that did that flyover with the helicopter that Eagle and U.S. Geological Survey paid for. 16 counties did a flyover and checking out their aquifer, see which way it's moving, where it's at. Maybe it takes an x-ray of the bedrock. So we're not the only county in that need, but we're not the only state. They've been doing these flyovers and understanding their geology in Illinois, Indiana, Iowa. And so the last conference I went to, they actually, for the groundwater conference, there was people in Iowa like, yeah, we would love to tap into your water in Michigan because it's just, you got a lot of it. Well, the problem is you start putting in more straws, sucking out of Lake Michigan, you could have a problem. So we got to protect it. There is a treaty right now, some sort of a treaty or agreement that nobody really can tie into that if you're not along the Great Lake, coastline. But again, something politics could play a role into that in the future. But we need to make sure we protect our water and keep it here.
Politics may play an issue. Commercial may
Absolutely.
play an issue as well, even though it's been a few years since they had the discussion in Mecosta County with the ice mountain. But, it's still something that will be a shadow.
Oh, yeah. Everybody blames the issues in some of the issues in Ottawa on Ice Mountain. They're not connected, not the same aquifer. But what if Ice Mountain wanted to move, or another water bottling plant wanted to move somewhere else and take our water and sell it? And, so we really got to be alert, be aware, and be educated, and make sure that you stay in tune to water. Because again, I always felt that water is this is the passion I have for my job and being elected and serve in Ottawa County. Whether it's water quantity or quality, we want to make sure that everybody has the equal. Water should not be political, but it turns into political during election season sometimes, or again, commercial, or people need it and they'll pay money for it, a lot of money. And we just got to be careful that we protect our resources that we have. Again, not just for Ottawa County, but for West Michigan.
Joe, real quick, I do want to touch upon what you presented to the Ottawa County Board this past Tuesday, the annual report. Some of the highlights from that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I love doing is giving the annual presentation. Again, this is from 2025, but we talked about all the drains. We had 129 drain projects. We cleaned out, 1,300 catch basins. A lot of people ask, well, how many catch basins are under our jurisdiction? We have about 9,200 catch basins that we inspect on a rotational basis to clean them out. We talked about the 10 miles of our spray program. And a lot of people don't understand that we also oversee dams. We have 13 dams in Ottawa County that are my oversight. And so I have to oversee them and get permits from Eagle. And we got the soil erosion program that's through my office. And we had roughly 800 new permits in 2025. What else did we? I'm trying to think of the other. We have about 300 ponds that we maintain in Ottawa, and we usually clean those out on a rotational basis. And every drain has an account. So my finance person in my department, we oversee 1,000 drain accounts because every drain has money coming in and money going out. And we have to balance that every week. So 1,000 of them, not to be working every drain every week, but again, last year we had, I think it was 129 drains we worked in. So yeah, those are all part of the annual report. It had to go pretty quickly. I think I spent 13 minutes on it. But Justin Roebuck, our clerk Roebuck, and I did our presentation on Tuesday night, and it was a lot of material. because we do, it's a whole year trying to talk about it in 13 minutes. But those are some of the highlights. We do our outreach. This year we will have the Water Quality Forum. That'll be October 23 at the Pinnacle Center. We're looking forward to, last year we had over 300 people, like 325, I think it was, I don't have it in front of me, but it was like 325 people. I suspect we'll have 400 people. It'll be free. I got about 25 sponsors that help cover the cost of that. Typically that's about a $20,000 event, but I always raise the money. So, the county's not paying for it. The taxpayer, it's all through sponsorships. And, we're working with, Outdoor Discovery on that. So they've been helping me organize that for the speakers. So I'm looking forward to that at the Pinnacle Center. The outreach, we do a lot of volunteering of cleaning up drains this year. That was a highlight. We did 2 of them last year. I think there'll be 3 this year. I think we got 1 more coming up for a drain clean out. And that we pick, I forget, we had 43 volunteers last year between 2 events. And we did 2 miles of drains. Sounds like not that much, but 2 miles of drain is a lot. And I forget how many dumpsters we filled up with garbage. So it was well worth the event. And again, it was free. We ended up getting a grant for a few $1,000s. And then we have, again, volunteers and sponsors for that. So it's no charge to the taxpayer for any cost. Everything is, again, paid for on those events. So that's some of the outreach. We do go into schools, too, and try to educate elementary kids on the water quality and how important it is to protect it. So,
all right. Money coming from Lansing in the state budget.
That was thanks to Brad Slaw and Senator Victory and Representative Slaw. There was $500,000 that was allocated for a feasibility study on recharge. That was kind of the state is really interested in, because they know we have an aquifer problem, and it's a feasibility study. We have a challenging geology and rock formation between the different aquifers in Ottawa, and we're just looking at what that would take to recharge for the future. Is this a project we're going to do this year? Well, it's going to be a few-year project, and I'd like to do a pilot, some sort of a pilot, work with maybe like a Leprino or a Fairlife, and look at recharging with good, clean water. Again, we talk about the deep wells injection. This is not comparable to that. So it's clean water that would be injected, and then the permitting process through the state and EPA. Right now, there's no permit that Eagle would say, oh, yeah, we could do that. But Eagle has been interested in designing some sort of a format to be able to recharge, not today or tomorrow, but it's for the future generations to come, to make sure that we use our water wisely, which is something that's important.
All right. And then finally, as we do this discussion on July 31st, a lot of people in this area are going to be mourning the passing of Tim Clunder. His funeral is later on this afternoon. It is.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to just talk about Tim Clunder, and, my thoughts and prayers are out with the Clunder family. But he had quite a long journey. He had his retirement party a couple weeks ago, which a lot of people showed up to, and it was amazing to see the support and the prayers, the hugs, the friendships, the handshakes. That's what community is all about. And, Tim Clunder was one of those guys that, he was a good friend to me, but as well, he's a great leader to the city of Zeeland. He's done a lot. His legacy will forever be remembered. And, you're right. His funeral is this afternoon. And, I just ask the listeners to keep his family in your thoughts and prayers as, his family goes through this change of life. And, but, Tim was always telling people about his faith and where he's going, and that's exciting to hear. So,
if you want more information about the Ottawa County Water Resources Commissioner, his department, go to myottawa.org, and under MWRC is actually the / if you need, but you just go to myottawa.org, get more information. You can report an issue online as well. As always, Joe, thank you very much. Unfortunately, our next conversation will be after that Water Resources Forum in October, but look forward to chatting with you then. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today, and have a great weekend.
Thank you very much. Joe Bush on WHTC Holland's Cool FM.